Did the title of this video get your jimmies rustled? I really hope it did, because now you're going to actually listen to me and probably hit the dislike button, but that's okay. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is not the good game that everyone thinks it is. In fact, it's pretty mediocre, and here's why. Alright, for real though, I think people have kind of rose-tinted glasses towards that entire series. They think it's some amazing masterpiece in video games when it's really not. In fact, there's a lot of problems with it. So let's talk about some of those problems. Let's start off with the first one, and probably the most obvious one. The AI is absolutely terrible in Star Wars Battlefront. All they do is run around like headless chickens. They can't really do anything. The pathfinding can often be a huge issue, and there's a variety of exploits you can use to just rack up the kills and never really be in trouble. In fact, if you just stand in between the droidekas, they actually can't shoot you. I feel like this AI could have used a couple more years in the oven before it was fully fleshed out. Now let's talk about the single-player game modes. I mean, instant action is great. It allows you to play literally every map in the game, which admittedly there are a whole bunch of, but when you get down to the single-player campaign, all you're really doing is running around on the same maps doing slightly different objectives that usually just involve shooting things in the face regardless. And then we can talk about Galactic Conquest, which is really just you going through the different maps in instant action mode, trying to take over the galaxy, fighting on those maps, and then having the planet you just took over be immediately taken back, forcing you to fight on the same map over and over and over and over again. So honestly, that's not really that great. Other than that, you have the online mode, which is kind of fun if you have a bunch of people shooting at each other, but the player characters are so overpowered towards each other it can be an exercise in frustration. And especially back in the early days of online modes on the Xbox and PlayStation, there was a lot of times where you were shooting at things and they would lag all over the place because of connection problems. Don't even get me started on space battles. While you do get to fly around in a ship, you can't go into first person, which is a great immersion tool. And really, all the space battles play out the exact same way, the only difference with the maps being the general aesthetic of the planets and the backdrops behind you, as well as where the capital ships are placed. Other than that, though, you're still blowing up the exact same control points regardless of which faction it is, and there's really no variation when any of the ships do. Each faction has a basic fighter, each faction has a basic bomber, and each faction has a paper-thin ship that will die at the first sign of trouble. And honestly, when you look at it, even though the game came out pretty long ago, it doesn't hold up very well in the looks department. In fact, there were many other games at that time that were destroying it based on graphical fidelity. So we've established that the single player isn't all that great apart from the instant action mode, the space battles are kinda lame, the multiplayer is a bit buggy, and the AI is absolute tosh. And all that leads me to the conclusion that I absolutely love this game, and it's one of my favorite games to ever be released. Yeah, I bet you weren't expecting that one. So while this game isn't a masterpiece and it's never going to be, people need to stop thinking it is, but they need to recognize that it does have value to it. It's perfectly acceptable, and especially was back when this game was first released, to play a game, have fun and enjoy it, but still know that there's flaws with it. A game doesn't have to be a perfect 10 out of 10 for it to be worth anything at all. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a fun experience. It's by no means perfect, but every time I play it, I do enjoy it, partly for nostalgic reasons, and partly because it's just fun to run around and shoot things. Things don't have to be extremely complicated. Everything doesn't have to be shooting for the skies at every possible moment. And what the old Star Wars Battlefront series offered in spades is just being able to run around and shoot things, possibly do co-op with your friends, and have fun in the Star Wars universe. Almost like a Dynasty Warriors feel. The AI isn't very good, but it's not really meant to be. It's meant to be there for you to shoot and to shoot back at you to make it feel like you're in a giant battle. And while the story might not be so great, it's one of those games where you can really just have that power fantasy and almost create your own story while you're playing it. In fact, some of the fondest memories I have, and the actual origin of where I came up with my name for this channel, dates back to Star Wars Battlefront 2. So I guess the point of this video wasn't just to bait and switch you in an attempt to get views, although I'm sure it's probably gained more than most of my videos have at this point, but it's to help you recognize that games don't have to be wonderful and perfect all the time. They can do a few things very well and you can really enjoy them, with them still being a 6.5 to probably an 8 out of 10. Not that I even score games, I think that's kind of a stupid way to handle a review, but whatever. That being said, I'm very excited for the future of the Battlefront series, both EA's series as well as some of the fan-made projects that are currently in development. And if you're a fan of Battlefront, I think you should be too. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, give this video a like, I would be super appreciative. If you didn't like it, and you've already disliked it, feel free to leave that dislike there if you want to. I am PattyJack, and I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.